Well, the Supreme Court is upholding Tennessee's ban on gender-affirming care for transgender minors. The justice's 6-3 decision legally protects many of the Trump administration's efforts to roll back protections for transgender people. Another 26 states have laws similar to Tennessee's. Chief Justice John Roberts, writing for the conservative majority, saying the law does not violate the Constitution's Equal Protection Clause. And in her dissent, Justice Sonia Sotomayor writes that the majority, quote, abandons transgender children to political whims. This ruling coming as transgender advocates say their way of life is under attack, from executive orders attempting to limit health care to removing the T from national LGBTQ monuments. So what protections are in place for trans people in New York State? Pix 11's Eileen LaPalmer and photojournalist Vicki Shields take a closer look in part 3 of our Pride Month series.
It's a scary time to be a trans person.
Micah Schneider says it's been a busy time at the LGBT network, where they are the director of programs.
It's exhausting to be told every single day that, like, something new is on the chopping block.
Schneider says trans people especially want to know what protections are in place in New York State with the anti-trans executive orders at the federal level.
We have the right to a legal name change, and there is the Gender Expression Non-Discrimination Act agenda is very strong, and the Attorney General has already come forward and said, like, we are enforcing gender and gender matters.
The executive branch executes the laws.
Ali Bohm with the New York Civil Liberties Union says the executive orders, with a few exceptions, are not enforceable.
What these executive orders order in many cases is unconstitutional, may violate federal statutory law. So if folks take one message away from this segment, it's they should not be complying in advance.
New York City Councilman Shauna Brew says they're keeping an eye on health care for trans people.
I understand that hospitals have a lot of pressure in terms of dollars that they need to operate. We need to make sure that we're putting pressure on hospitals to not succumb to President Trump's fear tactics, scare tactics.
Under New York law, healthcare providers are public accommodations that cannot discriminate based on gender identity or expression.
Robert Vitelli, the CEO of the LGBT network, says trans people can take comfort in New York state laws.
Protections for LGBT people based on sexual orientation, gender expression, and gender identity were cemented into the state constitution this year. It would take an act of the New York State legislature to overturn that. So it would be seismic.
Taylor Hubbard, who is trans masculine and a therapist at the LGBT network, sees it this way.
We need community now more than ever because we want people to recognize that we do exist.
Eileen LaPalmer, Pix 11 News.